Hello and welcome to Sovereign RPG. I am Sovereign and today I'm going to show you my view and my opinion on how you should fit a long-range Condor Interceptor.
Warp drive active.
So let's just start off and say that it's not a bad looking ship. It's not my favorite, but it's not a bad looking ship. So we'll go straight into the actual fit itself. Then I will talk through some of the skills that I have in this ship, which is pretty much 554s across the board and everything that I need to have. Apart from the defense upgrade, which I'm working on right now. You can obviously see my engineering is 554, electronic systems 554, targeting 554. And then we have missiles 554, 554, so you can get an idea of what the skills that are actually going to the ship that I'm making. Now the frigate skills do not cost too much to actually fill in there. You can get all of those to 554 at the current level, which I am at a total of 13.75 million SP on this character. So let's go into the actual fit itself. Now this is different from the fit that you saw in the first video with the scrams that had a much higher DPS, but it also had a much higher value, around 750 million ISK just for a frigate, which is going into the sort of faction frigate levels of expensive. The ship's still expensive. This one's still about 350, 400 million ISK, but it's definitely worth it. I'm really enjoying the ship. It is my favorite ship I've flown so far in PvP. So let's start off with the high slots. We have some disciplined small missile launchers. I don't have the C-types in there mainly because there's literally none on the market. Someone bought every single damn one of them, but also because it has a lower power grid requirement. The interceptors have a very, very small power grid, even with really high engineering skills. Also, I just want to apologize if you can hear my kids messing around. He just got a brand new train and he won't turn it off, so you might hear that in the background. Apologies for that. So we have the 3 disciplined small missile launchers on the top. They're not a bad, they're only a couple of percentage lower than the C-types. Also a hell of a lot cheaper. Then in the mid slots, I personally, when I'm running in the fleet, I'm running 3 Predator warp disruptors. They're really cheap at the moment. They're only at 15 mil a piece, give or take. But as you can see with this ship and the bonuses on the hull, you can get 34.5 kilometers on the optimal range, which means you can grab people just that little bit further away. And with the amount of people not currently using warp stabs or warp core optimizers on their ships at the moment, I've seen it a lot less than there was a couple of months ago. Having this much range can grab anyone around a gate. The scrams you have are limited. You have to sort of catch up to them with the MWD. But I'm really having a lot of fun with the longer range build. You can swap out one of these warp disruptors for a tracking disruptor. So if you're fighting anything else, because most of the time we're fighting down south and everyone's using stabbers, everyone's using slashers, everyone's sort of using any turret it will affect. So it'll affect lasers, it'll affect railguns, it'll affect cannons. But it won't have an effect on missiles. You'll have to swap that one out there for a missile guidance. Because I'm running in fleets, I'm using full tackle on this fit. So in the low slots, we have a full duplex ballistic control system, we have a small C-type micro warp drive, and we have a Trapper small shield extender. Now, I know you're probably wondering why I haven't got the full C-type fitting across the board. Everything should be as high as it can be. That is because of, as I said earlier, the power grid is tiny. Even with engineering, it is only 57. So I had to sort of mix and match Meta 5s with Meta 8s and then stick a C-type in there with a micro warp drive. It was a lot of messing around and a lot of playing. So let's have a look at the rigs that we got over here. We got the combat rigs. We're sitting with 2 bay loading accelerator 2s. And we have a hydraulic bay thruster 3 that puts your missiles are just a little bit of a longer range, and it also hits them a lot quicker, especially when you're sitting out at range. If you're sitting at the 20 kilometers, 22 kilometers, it gets to the target quicker and it can fly a little bit further. In the engineering rigs, we have the targeting subcontroller 2, we have the auxiliary thruster 1, and we have the polycarbon engine housing 2. I have the 15% inertia modifier on here. If I decide to throw on the scrams and I want to hold a tighter orbit, this really helps with that. I wasn't going to get the tier 3 one because that is stupidly expensive. And I went with a tier 1 auxiliary thruster because I'm already at 3.5 kilometers a second without it. And I'm 3.8 kilometers a second with this on. You don't really need to go much faster than that. It's already ridiculously fast. Now the targeting subcontroller, I've got that on there to get those sort of faster ships like your cruisers, for example. I can pretty much instant lock those. We're sitting at 1312 scan resolution, which is quite high. 1500 is a sort of where you want to be sitting if you're a sole tackle ship. But we do some soloing in this as well, so I need more DPS. In the offense, we're sitting at 234.46 damage cold. That's nothing to scoff at. I mean, it's not succubus levels of DPS, but you are hitting very hard alpha with small missiles. Defense is non-existent. Your defense is your speed tank. If you're not up to speed, then you're not going to be tackling very much because you'll be dead. That's why I'm kind of enjoying this disruptor fit sitting out at sort of 20 kilometers, sitting outside of all scrams and sitting outside of most web ranges. I obviously won't go and try to fight a Vigilant or a Vindicator in this ship because I'll just get melted. So sitting at cold, we have 644.48 meters a second. That is a very good, very good, very speedy ship. We have 5.5 AU a second warp speed. Now when you're in high sec, that goes up to 11, and when you're in low sec, it goes up to 7.75 AUs a second. Warp preparation time is less than 1 second, but as we know, anything lower than 2 seconds makes no difference at all. That is the server tick. That's how long it will take for you to go into warp anyway. And it takes that much time for someone to get a target lock on you. There's a sort of 2 second server tick over. So if you're sitting at the front of the server tick, it will take 2 seconds extra to get that lock on. If you're sitting at the end of the tick, then it won't. But going below 2 seconds really doesn't matter, but we didn't have the inertia rig in there for this. We had it in there to keep a tighter orbit. Let's go outside the station and have a look at the stats hot. So with the ballistic control and the micro warp drive active, we are sitting at 294.34 DPS. Now, because these actual missiles have a 8.41 second activation time, that is a big hit. Someone fleet invitation on me, someone's using my own tactics against me. That's a big alpha hit for a small ship. If you want to see how this goes in PvP, I have 2 videos, one with a short range scram fit and one with a long range disruptor fit, and sort of it has both. At the beginning it's the scram until I get murdered, and then it's the disruptor fit. I'll put the card in the top over there, and the video will also be in the description if you want to take a look at this in action. Because we have that flight velocity missile rig, we're moving at 4.5 kilometers a second. So it takes about 4 seconds for your missiles to hit the target when you're sitting out at 20 kilometers. Now, if we have a look at the missile range, we're sitting at 21.51 kilometers. That is a massive range for a small weapons platform. And obviously, because missiles do omni damage, you can apply to nearly all targets. Now, if you look at the navigation, we're sitting at 3,771.04 meters a second. This is massive speeds. And even with your micro warp drive active, you're still under the server tick on warping away at 1.58 seconds. Our defense stays the same, 3,265. We've got a little bit of shield hit points there, and the extender does help. Basically, what you want to be doing is setting your auto orbit, set your orbit standard at about 18-19 kilometers. It may push you out with your speed 1 kilometer, so you want to be sitting underneath the 21.5 kilometers. You just fly straight into orbit on another ship, move as fast as possible, you stick your disruptors on the target, obviously you'll have your micro warp drive active. When you are in range with your missiles at 21 kilometers, you activate your ballistics control system, activate your weapons. Do not activate your weapons before you are in range, because it takes such a long time for the next attack to cycle. So you could fire it at 22 kilometers, it will fire, but it won't hit the ship, it will blow up just before the ship. Obviously, unless they're coming straight towards you, the missiles will hit the target. If they're running away from you, they will not hit the target. If you start to get hit, which you won't really get hit because you're sitting out of web range, you're sitting out of scram range, but in case you're going up against a frigate and you need that little bit of extra time, you can stick the extender on. This will give you a big boost in shield HP, but you still have no resistances, so if you're going up against lasers, they'll do some damage. But this is one hell of a powerful ship. Now, if we look at the actual roll bonuses of this ship, you have the Warp Disrupt Field Immunity level, that's +1, that gives you complete immunity to bubbles. You can fly through bubbles, you can fly around bubbles, you can fly in and out, and you can warp out from inside one, you can warp into one, warp straight past one. This is the biggest bonus if you're running around in a frigate fleet. You can warp into anywhere. No one can block you in, no one can block you out. You can just go straight into any system you want and start fighting. If a destroyer comes in with an interdiction bubble and drops it on top of you, you just laugh at him and then warp away. Or kill him, because this ship does enough DPS to actually just murder those ships. As you'll see in that video as well, we have got a couple of interdictor explosions. So advanced electronic warfare and advanced frigate command bonuses are what you want to get to 5 first. This gives you your warp disruptor range, your warp scrambler optimum range, but most importantly, it drops your warp drive signature radius penalty minus 15% per level. This drops it down to almost nothing when using a micro warp drive. This is a very big bonus. Make sure you have that bonus. With the advanced frigate command, it gives you plus 10% small missile and torpedo damage up to 50%, which is nothing to scoff at, but it's not as important when flying this ship as the warp drive signature radius penalty. And that's my Condor Interceptor in a nutshell. I will be posting the short range fit for this Interceptor, the Scram fit, and I'll be posting that on Friday, so make sure you look out for that. Make sure to like and sub if you haven't already. This is your one-stop shop for Eve Echo's content. Fly safe and avoid local chat scams.